Ladder fall incident. Incident type, non-fatal, non-severe bodily injury. Bodily outcome, back, ankle, and buttocks injury. Material outcome, time off work, loss of income for 2 to 3 weeks. Incident context. It was a very hectic Monday filled with challenging activities. I had a big job first thing in the morning, over 1 hour's drive from home. I also had a very important job interview, which I considered a lifetime opportunity. Then, I had an important medical appointment another 1.5 hours drive from the location of the job site. I finally departed for work late. On the way, I stopped for some coffee and French toast sticks at a Burger King. I had the coffee and the snack en route before arriving at the job site. Incident narrative. After arriving late at a Zaxby's restaurant in Ashburn, Georgia, a self-employed technician, myself, was in a hurry to get a job started. The work involved installing 4 cameras and respective cable runs for each camera. The cameras were to be ceiling mounted, and the cables were to run on the ceiling from each camera location to the digital video recorder, DVR. The ceiling height varied depending on the area in the restaurant. The lobby or dining area ceiling was the highest at about 10 to 12 feet high. So, I decided to start there. After setting up, I began the work at around 10 a.m., time of opening for the restaurant. This opening time made me more concerned about getting the job in the lobby done faster. I began to install the first camera on the high ceiling in the northwest corner of the lobby. For that, I moved furniture and placed my Gorilla Ladder's multi-purpose ladder in an extended A-frame position. During the camera installation, which required drilling into the steel on a high ceiling truss, I stepped off the ladder and climbed on top of the furniture affixed to the wall. Although this furniture provided a standing surface, it was not designed for standing on it. So, I was taking unnecessary risks at that job that morning. I completed the first camera install with no incident. I had an interview for a job scheduled for 11 a.m., so I hurried to get set up for the interview in my vehicle. When I was in place for the interview, to my relief, I noticed the interview had been moved to 2 p.m., but I still felt in a time crunch and rushed because I had a big job ahead, needed to be done by time of the interview, then travel far away for a medical appointment at 3:30 p.m. I quickly moved to keep working on the job. I began to install the cable for the first camera. It was a challenging cable run that required running the cable mostly on the high exposed open ceiling over the lobby area. I had to move the ladder multiple times and climb up and down from it to reach high into the ceiling for the cable installation. I positioned myself for the last part of the cable run, where the cable would transfer from the lobby to the manager's office, the DVR location. There, a store manager was at a table using his laptop computer. He offered to move to another spot to let me work there, but upon inspection I saw the furniture was fixed and I would not be placing my ladder there. So, I told him he did not need to move. I decided to position the ladder close to the wall that divided the lobby and the manager's office. A high penetration point on the wall, close to the full height of the ceiling, about 12 feet. So I decided to place, or prop, the ladder against the wall. I put the ladder together, doubled it, and extended it to its max height. I felt the floor underneath me was a bit slippery, but, I justified, it felt just barely slippery. But in hindsight it was difficult to fully appreciate how slippery it was by just rubbing the surface with my shoes. I further justified that the floor wasn't wet or with grease, so I decided it was safe enough to get the job done and move on. I felt it wasn't completely safe to prop a ladder on the wall on that floor. I felt it unsafe. But I kept justifying that it was going to be okay as long as I placed the ladder more vertical than usual and was careful. The wall was a smooth wall with a brick texture and look. I placed the extended ladder on the wall and got on the first few steps to test its stability. For that, I put my body weight on the first or second ladder rung and sort of pushed down on it to see if it moved. It did not. This further justified my faulty judgment. I proceeded to go up the ladder, holding onto the wall, and when I reached the ceiling with my hands, I thought it necessary to hold onto the truss structure in case the ladder slipped and to keep some of my weight off the ladder. As I was attempting to push the cable through the wall up high, the ladder suddenly slipped down the wall and I fell straight down with the ladder. As I fell, I recall attempting to grab onto the ceiling, the wall, or other object, but there was no time, or I could not reach. I estimate my feet were around 6 feet above the floor at the time of the fall. I fell straight down with the ladder close to the wall. I felt I fell quite a distance, more than I ever remember. I impacted the floor on my feet, in an almost standing position, with my legs mostly straight. I felt the impact with the floor on my feet and heels, and it instantly transferred up my legs, hips, and back. Then I immediately fell backward and may have fallen partly on the ladder and the floor. I did not feel I fell on anything else, or any furniture, during the fall, but it all happened in a flash and with a loud bang from the ladder. Immediately after the fall, I got on my knees and felt around to see if I was injured or hurt in any way. I was feeling my back, feet, and legs, and moved around looking for pain. But I did not feel any pain at that moment. I was able to move my feet and legs, then my back and body. I was relieved I could move, but highly disappointed at myself, saying I knew better not to put this ladder on this floor. I slowly got up, still looking for areas of pain and discomfort in my body, especially my back. I was complaining of my stupid decision to prop my ladder on that slippery floor. The manager, sitting close to the fall, seemingly frozen in his reaction, witnessed it all. He asked me if I was okay, and if I needed medical help. I said I didn't think so, and he said, "Since I witnessed you fall, I need to write a safety report on this." I agreed, and he wrote a report on the incident. I felt fortunate not to have been badly hurt by the fall, but at the same time, angry and disappointed at the clearly stupid decisions I had been taking. I did not feel pain, discomfort, and was walking around, although shaken and slower. I attempted to continue and finish the job. Less than 30 minutes later, I decided to place the work on hold, because the restaurant was filling with people, and I still had most of the job to complete. I decided to report the fall to the job managers through the Field Nation application. I reported the fall and that I would not be completing the job. But I did not give details about the fall on that day. I left the site close to 2 p.m. I still had an important interview and a doctor's appointment to make that day. I began to feel some discomfort and slight pain on my middle and upper back. Fortunately, I was able to make it to my interview and doctor's appointment. By the time I got home that afternoon, the pain in my back had increased. So, I decided to cancel all work for at least the next week and monitor my back pains closely. Later that day and the next day, my back hurt in a spot near my spine and my middle back, and my upper back on the right side. As I write this, about 6 days after the fall, I am fortunate that my back pain has improved, but it is not all clear. I still feel some pain in one area of my spine. I am still closely monitoring my back pain to see if I will need it checked by a doctor or if there is long-term damage. I also have some pain in my right ankle, neck, and left buttock. I have stopped scheduling work for the next couple of weeks. Direct contributing factors to incident. I believe these factors directly contributed to the accident. Engaging in clearly unsafe practices. Using a ladder on an unsafe surface. Using a ladder in an unsafe position. Indirect contributing factors to incident. I believe these factors indirectly contributed to the accident. 1. Stress due to too much activity scheduled for one day. 2. Stress due to too much distance driven in one day. 3. Time pressure due to too many activities scheduled for one day. 4. Consuming coffee and high-sugar foods just prior to starting dangerous elevated work, which may contribute to poor judgment, risky behavior, and unsafe decision-making. 5. Propping an inadequate ladder on a wall. 6. Using a ladder not specifically built for propping it on the wall. 7. Not using fall arrest equipment. Lessons learned. Direct lessons learned. Do not engage in unsafe practices, especially for elevated work. Do not position a ladder on a slippery surface or other unsafe surface. Contributing factors. Lessons learned. Do not schedule too much activity for one day. Do not schedule for too much distance to drive for one day. Do not rush work, especially jobs that require safe decision practices. Do not consume caffeinated drinks and high-sugar foods, especially just prior to starting dangerous elevated work. This may contribute to poor judgment, risky behavior, and unsafe decision-making. Use fall arrest equipment whenever it is possibly needed. Do not use ladders unless specifically designed for the purpose used. Do a job hazard analysis for every job, especially elevated work. In a job hazard analysis, you go over the required tasks of a job. You take into account any risks involved with those tasks. Then you plan and take action to minimize risks for each task.